Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm JC with Team Empire, and today I'm finally back with some more competitive content. I'm sorry I got behind on the monthly metas, but I was on vacation for a while and just was traveling and didn't have time to really sit down and record. But today I'm coming back with different type of competitive content. We tier list today for the premium format, talking about all 24 clans after a post-history collection. So history collection has been out for about, I want to say, like a little over a week now. And everyone's been having a lot of fun with the format. And pretty soon we're going to have our recent ban list in effect. So I thought this would be a great time to talk about where all the clans stand. I want to reiterate that this is all my opinion. I don't speak for the entire team. I don't speak for the entire community. This is just what I think about the current premium format. And rather than doing like an S tier, A tier, that kind of stuff, there's a format of this type of tier list that I saw on a few channels that I really liked, talking about if the change with History Collection has how it's impacted the individual clan. So we have our tiers: impactful, meaning like this changes the clan for sure in premium, the way and the best format of the deck. Additive, which means it's a good build, it adds to the overall competency of the clan. And then no change is like the new striders or stride is not better than what already exists in the clan. And the unsure category, that's just for me to put clans there that I'm going to come back to if I'm unsure about what tier to put it in. But yeah, let's just get right into it. I have the clans randomized here, and Jack, do I click here on the main screen?
Where?
I click on this screen?
No, you click on that screen.
It's not going over.
Good, I said.
What? Okay. I just went around the world. Okay, I'm going to start over from that clan thing.
You're good.
But after that, sorry for the long intro, let's just jump right into it. I have the clans randomized here, starting with Shadow Paladin. So, first of all, when thinking about all these clans, you have to think about not only the strides, but the striders. And the types of gifts that you're receiving. So for Shadows, Claret Sword, I haven't actually tested against it. I haven't tested with it. The Stride seems okay, being able to call a grade 1. And the Strider itself seems kind of like, I heard, mid. Right now, Shadow's best deck is probably still Luard, and on the rogue side, Raging Form. And in my opinion, I think you're better off probably doing like one of those two strategies. They already spam gifts. They have multiple Vanguard swings starting on... Well, Raging Form does, not Luard, sorry. But Luard makes giant columns starting on turn 3. So you could probably put it in additive, but personally I'm going to put it in no change. There's still fun builds to do with Claret Sword, especially with like the new promo. But I don't think there's any real change to the competency of that clan. Next is Spike Brothers. So Spike Brothers gets Bruce, the stride that I think can call any like grade 2 or lower card, something like that. It's got a nice superior call. And Old Nova gives a really good skill, I think, to the strider. To the stride or rear guard. I'm sorry if I'm wrong about that. Lupe plays more spikes than I do. But basically you get more tutoring on turn 3 rather than multiple Vanguard swings with Nova. I'm going to put it in additive. I think it's a really cool build. I think a lot of people are just throwing in Old Nova with their current Rising Nova list, because overall I think 3 Vanguard swings on turn 3 with V Nova is better, but having that line of play is still very good, because I know there are bricky turns with Spike Brothers too, where you have your V Nova but you don't have the rest of your like grade 3 pieces. Even though it's a really easy turn if you have like Forbidal or even like a really good early game. So putting it in additive. Next is Tachi. I think this is an impactful change. Now keep in mind, impactful doesn't mean S tier. It just means that I think that the support that History is offering gives the clan a better build. And I think Tachi, it's definitely impactful. This may be a little biased because of the decks that I like to play, but before, Tachi was still getting 2 gifts with Spino, but that was during the battle phase. This is now happening during the main phase. you're getting new skills on cards being able to enable better multi-attack because you know what you're going to be recalling. And the stride is actually really, really good being able to enable retire-like effects. So, and just to reiterate, just to throw this in real quick, most of these Excel clans that generate 2 Excel 2s are probably better objectively than some of these Force and Protects. Because 2 gifts is really broken, but getting to just stride and draw 2 cards while your opponent's on grade 2 is really, really good. So most of these Excel clans will probably be in one of these 2 categories. But I do think Tachi is better off. And it's really nice not having to rely on like turbo equip gauging anymore. I really like that. Angels. I think Angels is definitely additive. So people were hyping up the defensive Gavriel stuff you can do with that and the Nurse of Broken Hearts. I think that's her name. Because Gavriel does have a very cool defensive like GB2 ability, much like Mega Colony's Darkface does. But overall, I think Angels is also a very format-dependent clan. Like, right, we've seen some Angel Gize tops in 2023, 2022, which is crazy. And Angels can also compete in ride-down formats because it has no seal. So yeah, I think Angels is definitely it adds a very defensive build, but again, Angels I think is a very format dependent clan, and it does struggle with the fact that it doesn't have as much good V support as some of these other clans do. This is Neo Nectar. I think Neo Nectar is another additive clan. Some people could even argue impactful. I'm going with additive because overall, since Katrina came out, people have been experimenting with like what the best version of Neo Nectar is. Personally, I'm a big fan of the Cray Elemental builds that try to superior ride and get onto Katrina while your opponent's still on grade 2. And I've seen builds, especially in Japan, that are adding on this new superior stride into those types of builds. Is that better? I'm not sure. But I think Neo Nectar overall having more lines of play in this current state of Vanguard is good because it has notoriously been one of the weaker clans since Katrina left. But now that Katrina's back and they have new lines of play with old Asha, I think it's definitely additive. And I think we will see a list here or there within the BCS season. Aqua Force. This also has no change. I'm sure you've heard other people talk about this, but Aqua Force already superior rides into a grade 4 or into a grade 4, that being either Lambros or Magnolia. It gets its triple drive, and then it even gets to like ride down if you want. Now, is that good in this format? I'm not sure, but superior striding into the dragon, whatever the new stride is, and getting triple drive is like basically the same thing, but you're not using as many like pursuit assaults. So I think there's no change here. I think Vithavis is better. You know, even though like you're getting two excels in the main phase, like you're still gonna get your excels regardless. And one positive side to the history collection update is that Aqua Force has some really good GB units. Like Saberflow, I think, is a really, really good card, but you'd really have to argue its competency for it to be really good. I'm not saying it can't top, but I don't think there's much of a change here. Like Aqua Force is a pretty solid build. Bermuda. All right, I gotta be honest. I'm a little unsure on this one because Laris is not a bad card, but Bermuda has a similar issue with Aqua Force where it's like it's kind of already gaining a bunch of gifts, and most of the time your high roll with Reindeer is going to be more impactful than just a superior stride where your opponent can heal guard. So I'm going to put it there. We'll come back to all the unsure clans towards the end of the video. What's this fluffy looking clan? This is Dark Irregulars. I think this is no change.
Did you just say Dark Irregulars is fluffy?
Yeah, it's got this like it's got these like hairs. I forgot what some of these like these dark zone symbols are. Yeah, this fluffy looking clan. But DI, as far as I'm aware, there's no change. I got to be honest, I'm not super aware with like old Charat builds. I don't think anyone's really doing it. The stride is okay, but as soon as NLK was introduced into the game, Bushiroad basically said like this is going to be DI's premium build for the rest of premium. NLK is a really, really good deck right now. People have really been polishing it up ever since the last BCS season, and I think that it's going to be a very, very strong deck going into the new season. We've already seen some tops from Japan, and I think there were multiple DI tops. In fact, I didn't look at all of them. Maybe one had Charat in it. Like maybe you could consider putting one in, but I don't think anyone will do that. NLK is just always going to be this like high roll, superior ride until your opponent dies build. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I really think there's no change here. I really hate having to do these no changes back to back, but next is Dimension Police. There's no change. It has a similar issue to, not issue, but to like Dark Irregulars in that as soon as Dieliner was introduced, they were basically like, this is going to be Dimension Police's build. Because Dieliner adds more shield to your deck, and you want to be flipping Geo Mag Glasses throughout the entire game. That way you can have super, super big shield values and just be an absolute tank on your opponent's turns and then one-shot your opponent on their turns. I'm sure that the new stuff is fun with Grand Gallop. Yeah, that's it, Grand Gallop. I'm sure the new stuff is fun, but it's just never going to be as good as how tanky DP has been since Dieliner came out. Gear Chronicle. Okay, so this one's weird because like it's impactful for sure, having strong time leap lines again, but our ban list has Enterana. And if you look at Japan had a lot of Gear Chronicle results. In fact, in their recent, I don't know if it was a Daivanga side. No, it was a deluxe tournament. It was the most converted clan. It had 4 Gear Chronicle tops. And I didn't look at all of them, but I'm sure all of them had Enterana. With Enterana at 1, it's still a strong card. You can still do stuff. You can still time leap into it with some cards and get your plussing. But it's not nearly as broken as when, like, you know, it was at 4. Steam Main was at full power. Time leap is strong. People have already posted a list even prior to the history release. So I'm going to put it in impactful. I think it's impactful because it's a very fast strategy, and superior striding for that GB2 puts Gears into a really good position going into second stride.
Also the crest.
Jack's in the room with me. He brings up the crest. I know other people have made videos about the crest. It is very strong, having a crest going into a late game, but I know that some people also don't really care about it. For me, I think the crest is good. Like, you'll have your 5k power on your superior stride, which is nice. But I do think overall the time leap lines are a lot stronger because unlike some of the Excel clans that are powering through their like multi-attack on superior strides, Gears is a force clan, so they have an easier time getting over heal guardians. And heal guardians are a big part of whether or not like any strategy can really like pressure a deck. So there's that. We'll see how it does. I'm putting it in impactful, and I'm sure some people will disagree, but that's okay. You know, it's just my opinion. Genesis. So, Genesis has a really strong deck being Regalia that has not changed except for, additive support from, new Regalia names since like 2021. That I think for as long as Premium is alive, that will probably be Genesis's strongest deck, unless Overdress introduces something crazy, but we'll see how that gets in 2025. I think the Genesis stuff is additive, because something that Jack and I noticed about like Fenrir and the Stride is like there's actually a lot of plussing that goes on in those early turns. And sure, it's not Regalia, but you do still have strong strides like Marduk. So if you brick on your second stride and you just want to get a strong grade 3 turn, maybe you ride over your old Fenrir going into maybe V Fenrir or something like that. I've seen Genesis tops that haven't just been Regalia, and I think overall this will be additive to all those builds. I really like that idea, and since this is a Force clan that has Striders and Strides that plus, I think that's going to be beneficial for the clan going forward. You know, because getting 2 Force gifts is very strong. Just like I said, getting 2 gifts in general is very strong. So we'll see where these Genesis players take this. I highly doubt. In fact, this will not happen. Regalia players will not splash this in because they are a very archetypal deck, and you have to have Regalia names for your Minerva resands. Golds. So I've had discussions with people. Some people dislike what's coming to Golds from this. Some people really like it. Golds is like such a strange clan in that like it's seen so many changes through premium, being broken, not so broken, to broken again, and something that this clan has that's very, very strong is Percival in premium. So I'm going to put this in additive because like old Gurgit isn't bad. The Stride also isn't bad. Like you get a lot of plussing, you're going to get excels, but you can also get even more excels from decks like Holy Shine and Percival. So again, I think this is just like another line that's getting golds to the exact same place, which is Ultima in most cases. Because you're still advancing to GB2 very quickly, which if you're playing just normal Spear X Dragon plays, then you're already trying to Superior Stride. The only difference is you don't really need CB to Superior Stride into whatever the new Stride is called. So I think this is additive. It's just like another flavor of what Golds is already trying to do. But unlike Thavis, this is actually something that could be like equivalent to that, rather than like I think that Aqua Force is the history build is just doing the same thing but a little weaker. Granblue. All right, this is impactful. So Granblue has always been like similar to Angels, like a format-dependent clan. For example, it couldn't do that well in Springfest because so many people were bringing Mega Colony, and if you just get paired against Mega Colony, you die in that deck. However, with the history stuff, I think this clan becomes very, very, very strong because one thing that Granblue lacked a lot was that it didn't have a very good like ride up play unless you were doing stuff with V Night Rose. And even then your lines were a little weird and very dependent on how you built for your early game. But now getting to activate all your GB stuff on turn 3, like for example Night Storm, Superior Calling stuff, or even old Grenache, getting your countercharge for your G-Guard plays. You can go into Ghost Ship lines. You can go into like the quick mill like Skull Dragon lines, which hits over like Heal Guard defensives. Bandit Rum, I think he just Superior Calls something for drop for free, which is really, really good. This clan is very, very scary. And Granblue is one of those clans that almost always benefits off of some wave of support from like the D series, you know, in that Stoicheia gets a lot of very generic things, meaning people can be building around people can get really creative with their Granblue builds since they have stuff like Columbard. So this deck is very, very well off with the new history stuff. Great Nature. I gotta be honest, I'm not in the premium format, I'm not that knowledgeable about Great Nature. I know what their goal is now in trying... Their goal prior to, not this ban list, but the past one, was to either make really big columns off of their... it's like a big lion man, whatever his name is. He's one that, like, for each face-up card in your G-Zone, your front row gets 4k power. Or was to stack the Overtrigger. But now Spangled is gone. And honestly... that's a really dumb thing to put on the ban list. I'm just throwing it out there. So with Spangled gone, I think this clan is like much weaker. And with the new history stuff, I don't think it's actually stronger than than V Big Belly builds. So I don't know. I'm going to put it in no change. if someone disagrees and they'd like to put their opinion in the comments, I would be glad to read it. But unfortunately, I don't think we get much benefit. 2 excels is nice, but like, I don't know. This clan has always been kind of weird in premium. Kagero, I'm going to put no change. The best build in Kagero is Overlord. I feel like it's a joke it's been a joke for eternity that it's like Overlord the clan. Yes, I'm doing funny stuff with this clan right now in my like Eugene premium deck, but again, that's not something that people would talk about in like people wouldn't ask me like, is that better than Overlord? Because Overlord can just high roll really well. There's also a lot of like damage pinging stuff going on in Overlord builds right now where you get your limit break on rebirth very early, and then you just like heal down to 1, which is a really, really cool deck. But I don't think Kagero benefits much, especially since like the Strider, Blade Master, and the Stride, all they do is retire something, and it's like, who gives a shit? You know, that's not that impactful. 2 forces is cool, but like, come on. I'd just rather do Overlord stuff. This is Link Joker. Okay. So, this one is... I gotta be careful here because I got Link Joker players in the team. Messiah is scary. It's scary because I actually think Messiah might benefit more from something like a Crest than Chronojet. Because Gears had scarier things than Link Joker has for a really long time. And also, I know less about builds right now for Messiah other than what we're doing in our team. And I think that's because people are testing it. I've seen people say that they're very scared of Messiah, and people say that's not very impactful. We got to think about the Crest, and we have to think about what this clan can do on turn 3. It can already do a little bit of a loop with old Volko stuff, but I also see people not building around that. So I don't know. I do think Link Joker is better off as a whole having the superior Stride because it's not always very strong in the format, and Messiah is more aggressive than other Link Joker builds. So you know what? I'm going to put it in impactful. I do think it is better off, and much like Great Nature, I'm open to hearing comments because I could also see it going in additive because I think there have been many more Chaos Breaker and Deleter builds. But I also see hybrid stuff all the time with Link Joker. Like Chaos Messiah, Chaos Deleter, Messiah Deleter. People are doing crazy things with this clan all the time. But I'll put impactful because I do think the Crest is a little bit better for this clan in premium since they need more support in their aggro lines. This is Mega Colony. So when I see lists right now, people are always jumping Mega Colony up to here. I actually think it's just kind of additive, and I think some people will get mad at me for this one. But the thing is, Darkface is really good. I've been talking about the Darkface GB2 stuff ever since history was like first revealed, and we started theorizing about it. Darkface GB2 is really good. Now, Soul Blast 2 is very expensive for that clan. If anyone plays Mega Colony, they'll know that Soul is a very hard resource to manage. If you've played a lot of games, then maybe it doesn't feel like it, but it is a difficult resource to manage. Yes, the Ghidorah Stride is very broken. A lot of people want to see it hit, but I can't put a clan in impactful just because of something that already existed. We're talking about the new stuff, the new support. And I think the G Darkface is very additive to Mega Colony builds because of how oppressive it can be on like resting 1 or even 2 rear guards in any sort of deck. But again, I don't think you're going to be resting more than 2. And if you are, then you're probably building your deck around it and losing some ceiling because of it. So I'm putting it in additive. It's one of those things I'm up for debate for. But I don't think the clan as a whole is really changing what it's doing, which is, striding Ghidorah, shutting down your opponent, and just waiting out the game. Murakumo. I love this clan, so I'm going to try to be as unbiased as possible. I've been testing a lot with this. It feels really, really good. Now, does it feel better than Shirayuki? This clan has a much faster... Sorry, this Yasuie is a much faster build than Shirayuki. These decks are kind of reversed in that, like, Shirayuki has a really good kill turn that's like you need to see the over trigger to survive this turn, and Yasuie has like a really strong first and even second stride. Now some people will at me with Homura Raider because I know you can get like 5 attacks with Homura Raider, which is really cool, but that's a very specific setup that is also, you're also able to like fail that combo, where Shirayuki is just like counterblast 4, your opponent, needs 50k shield to guard every single attack. So I'm going to try to be unbiased and put it in additive. I do really like the Yasuie version of this deck now with the G Yasuie. You can also, if you're going to have like a weak stride turn, just ride V Yasuie and still have 2 Vanguard swings and probably, have a really solid turn. I really like it though, and the train is very, very nice, being able to set up like a bunch of Niudos and draw a billion cards, or a bunch of like Tenma and hit over heal guardians or defensives. So I think this clan is definitely adding to its builds, because before it was just like Shirayuki or bust. Narukami. Some people will be surprised with this one because actually this is one of the 2 clans I play most. I'm putting it in additive because the deck doesn't really change. Our ban list has hit Bronto. If it didn't, then it would be impactful for sure, because full Bronto superior riding on your stride while your opponent's on grade 2 is like really broken, and getting 3 gifts is like really, really broken. But it's additive for sure, because after the ban list, the thing that this change benefits the most is actually Eradicator. And I saw a list, if you go on Vanguard Paradox, the first place list of a recent Kingslayer tournament was a build that's basically the build I'm playing right now. It's like the Eradicator deck with Sweep Command, Spark Rays, Cho-Os, all that stuff. But instead of Vowing Saber, they're playing the G Vanquisher and increasing a part of the deck that was really bad in the past, which is the ride up turn. Like if you were up against a deck that grade 2 gamed better than you, or that was a ride down strategy, your ride up was actually really bad. You were trying to ride basically like Vowing Saber, unless you were playing Descendant, which is also format dependent. You were riding Vowing Saber, like ripping a card out of your opponent's hand and like basically praying to hit triggers, make decent lines, and like, please don't heal Guardian me. But now that you have a ride up turn that's getting you 2 excels and guaranteeing 2 cards in your opponent's bind zone from I think his name is Zaros, something like that, the stride. That's really good. Like setting up Thunderstrike confirmed is really, really, really good, because then your G Guardians become so much better. And depending on how you build, your other defensive plays might become really, really good. But I really like this. I think it's additive. I don't think it's game breaking enough to put it in like impactful though. I know some people are like, boom. Now, if this was like an S tier thing, then yes, this would be an S tier. But it's definitely additive. And you can still play your Eradicator list the exact same way, and it would still be good. Novas. All right. So this recently won a deluxe. And Nova players are always like, man, this deck is just insane, but please don't hit a defensive. And I think that's just always going to be the case in a clan where like you get so many guaranteed restands. However, I do think that this is an impactful. This is a deck that this is an impactful change for Novas, because both your G Victor and your Stride, your Eroded Stride, they both have restand abilities, which means you don't have to play as many restanders in the main deck, and that's something that Novas like always needed to do. Like you had to have all your like your older pieces, a lot of your promos from V, and make sure that you were getting enough restands to gain value off of like V Victor. or Sazanda. But now Sazanda's just going to get fat because you have G Victor as your Vanguard. So I think this is impactful. What's the 2019 stride, Jack? What's the 2019 stride for Novas? What's his name? We'll just edit this part out now. Bustard? Yeah, Bustard. Bustard has always been a super scary stride. And having a good ride up, with triple drive that's going to go into like a Bustard next turn is like, that's pretty good. And I know this deck can still kind of lose to defensives or Heal Guardians, but it has an easier time with those types of defensive than some of these other clans do, So moving on, Nubatama. I think Nubatama's is impactful. The reason is not because of Dominate. Like, Dominate is still very, very cool, and all the stuff that you're going to get to do with Oboro now is fun, but that's still like a turn 4 onward play where it becomes really, really strong. Getting 2 protects for this deck is really good because this deck has always been best on like second stride onward. Or, I guess first stride if you like G-guarded. But most of the builds for this deck has been defensive builds going into a Rine with Mizukaze. But now you have some aggression while gaining that defensive like 2 protects. And I like seeing people's builds for this because it's always a little different. Some people are playing like the new V promo that can always basically search for your ride targets. Some people are playing a lot of Magatsu Gale. A lot of people are going heavy on like token builds to be able to have like defense in the main stage and always have the main stage, the main phase, and always have cool lines for your like 2020 stride. And of course, Dominate's a nice like cherry on top because with Rine, dominated units will have their bonus like crit and 10k power. So excuse me. I think this is impactful for sure. Nubatama is just a little faster now, which is like really, really cool. Hanzo and stuff is still slower, but impactful for sure right here. OTT. This is one I have to think about because old Susanoo isn't very good. It's just worse version. Like V Susanoo just does so many better things. I'm putting this into... I think I'm going to put this into no change. You can have good lines and, second stride or even turn 4 into Ichikishima. But I think this deck, Battle Sisters and Susanoo, are just more aggressive, which is better for this clan because you really want to push your opponent so that their guarding becomes impossible for Ichi or Momo. But I do think history builds are better, make Momo better. I don't know. This is one where I'm like, I want to leave it here, but I also don't want to leave the video like, with ambiguity. You could put it here, either like, we'll order these in a second, but you could put it here, or you could put it like in no change. I don't know. I'm gonna put it in no change just because I haven't seen anything like super crazy. Pale Moon, Harry. I'm not the biggest like Pale Moon guy. The best build in Pale Moon is Nightmare Dolls, and I know those Nightmare Doll lines very well from testing. I don't think your ride down strategy is worse than this. I'm going to put additive. I don't know. I think all the strider and striding effects are really good and give you interesting lines of play for Harry. But when you're playing Harry, you still want to be using like stage stuff for your all your V pieces. So I don't really know. Maybe this should go in no change. Because if you're playing Harry, you still want to use like your better V pieces. However, and Nightmare Dolls is just so good. Like this isn't in here for sure. I I don't know. I'm going to leave it here and we'll order. Actually, I'm going to put it unsure while we finish this last one. That's why we have that category. Yep. Last one, Royal Paladin. I'm sorry, Altmile, but no change. Jack actually, we were talking about it today, and Altmile is actually kind of a minus because, you know, if you're using the Strider skill, like you're calling stuff from hand, you're not really gaining much power outside of your force markers. Yes, you get to tutor whatever with your stride, but like Jewel Knights is really good. It's a really good deck. I think it's slept on sometimes in certain formats. And yeah, like with this, you can get to your what's that guy named? Sanctuary Guard? No. So yeah, sure. After your Superior Stride, you're gonna go into Crystal Luster, but Jewel Knights has like better lines of attacks to where like you're gaining more value off Crystal Luster anyway. And I'm like, Royals is lucky that it has Jewel Knights because ever since V, Royals has just been not very good in premium. So yeah, we're looking at this. There's 2 unsures. Bermuda, I will put in additive because it's not better than Highlander for sure. But like I have seen Loras builds. I've even seen like Loras in Highlander. Like if you brick on your reindeers, you just ride that and have your Superior Stride. And Bermuda has a ton of good like V and G support where like you can try to build anything and it would probably be okay. And then Pale Moon, I'm sorry Pale Moon, but I'm going to put this in no change. This isn't really like layered, but I guess we can try to move this around a bit. I know it's going to make for a really long video. Holy crap. For now, I think the most impacted up here is probably like Granblue and we'll just say like Granblue is definitely the most impacted in my opinion. Like it's going to see a lot of changes and a lot of topping. For additive, it can't really be most additive, I guess. I don't know. I think Granblue is definitely one of the clans that has like received the most love from this history collection support. And we actually got a pretty equal distribution of like impactful, additive, and no change. However, History Collection is an awesome set. I've been having a lot of fun testing with it. And if you like any of these clans, even the ones in I think no change, I would highly recommend playing the new builds. Find what you like. Premium is at a great place right now, in my opinion. Some people may not like it, but I really enjoy the new history format. Sorry for the long video. I just really am passionate about this format and this game. And I hope this helps your testing or your thoughts on certain clans. Be on the lookout for a standard tier list coming from Jack very, very soon. And be on the lookout for more competitive content for the rest of the BCS season. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great day. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm JC with
Just start again. Don't even stop.
Not the blooper reel.